can you do simple things like vehicle maintenance? I'm not talking engine tear downs. That's what I have a Dave for. But simple things like oil change, tire rotation, brakes, filters, um, things that don't take a lot of tools or specialized equipment to be able to accomplish. You know, you can take your vehicle to a mechanic for every little thing, and you can pay out the nose for every little thing. And that gets expensive. Changing this filter is really not that hard. It's not that bad a shape, but I've got a new one right here. It's been sitting around a while, so I'm gonna throw it in there. How much would a mechanic charge just to do this one little thing right here? I got new toys. See how they work. So this air filter, it ain't in terrible shape, but it's getting there. It's getting dirty. It's getting some crap in there. It's like a book. So the one I just put in is probably gonna live the rest of the life of this truck. This truck got 186,000 on it. I'll show you some other stuff underneath when I get it up on the lift. But yeah, how much would a mechanic have charged just to do that? That took me 5 minutes. You know how to check simple things like battery connections, make sure things are tight, good and snug. Loose battery connections can really screw you up. Got plenty of coolants marked on there. Yep, good. I'm not going to take you step by step on how to check every single thing on this vehicle, because it's going to be different on every vehicle on how to do things. This belt's fairly new, but I look at my belt, make sure it's not wearing, checking out, cracking, coming apart, nothing like that. This belt's only been on here a few months, so it should live the truck's life. I don't mind being called a wimp. I sit in a chair. Guess the drain plug wasn't going to fall out. Now while everything is dripping out in good shape, I ain't no hurry. You can sit right there. This is when I sit in the wheelie chair and I go down through the truck, just look at stuff. We have annual safety inspections in Maine, but I always look at everything anyway. Check out my brake lines, check out my steering, look at the frame, sway bar, look at bushings, shake my drive shafts around, feel the U-joints, check the exhaust. Just look at everything going down through. So if something's getting loose, something's getting weird and funky, I know about it now. And if I can fix it right now, I fix it right now. If not, I get the parts and deal with it. It's a lot easier doing this, sitting in this chair, than it is crawling around on your hands and your knees, I can tell you. This is a spot in the frame that is going bad. It was only going bad over maybe about 8 inches, but I wound up making a plate that's, I don't know, about 18, 20 inches long. It's plated on the outside, plated on the bottom, plated on the inside of the frame. And I welded that all together. So I want to try and make this truck last as long as I can, so I can save up a good down payment for a new vehicle. Well, I say new vehicle, new to me vehicle. So, yeah, the inspection mechanic he looked at my patch job and he was quite impressed with it. Comes from being a certified structural steel welder in another lifetime. It went pretty well there. He'd be here the rest of the day waiting for every last drip to stop. Now, I've done this before. I did it when I was a teenager. One time. Don't forget to put the drain plug back in. Before I put any vehicle on the lift, I get my arms in, get them where I think they need to be, lift the lift up, put a little bit of strain on the vehicle, go around and I check everything because I want to make sure they are where they're supposed to be and not just catching something by the edge or it can kick out or anything like that. We don't want anything exciting happening, especially if somebody's underneath it. Yeah. Then I get it in the air and I check it again once it's up and I lock my dogs in so that it's no longer sitting on the pistons. It's sitting on mechanical locks. I look again to make sure everything looks good before I get underneath something. Sometimes you get one that just doesn't want to come off even when you palm bump it a little bit. Get a little extra motivation. Being stubborn. Well, all right, we can play this game. I'm gonna grab a lug nut. Thread on a lug nut just a whisker. Just makes me want to get down here and crawl. Usually a little thunk on the outside will do it, but you don't want to do it. Yeah, we'll get in here. Yeah, that took care of it. Now you see why I put the lug nut on, right? So the damn tire didn't fall off. Left rotor has more wear than the right rotor. There's still plenty of pad to fill it down in there. So it's not an urgent thing where I'm not going to have brakes, nothing like that. These will probably last another 2,000-3,000 miles, no problem. But I know it's an issue, so I can plan for it. So on my truck, I can grease my tie rod ends, which is nice. So it's a lot easier to do that with no tires than it is with the wheels on. So with no tire in the way, this is when I check my tie rods, yank, tug on everything. I look at my CV boots, make sure they're not split, which usually if they get a split in them, you're going to start seeing grease slat up in the wheel wells. I don't have that. That's a good thing. Why do I check my truck over so close when I have it in here? Well, I live in Maine, and the roads around here beat the living snot out of our vehicles, especially during this time of year. Rust is a nice thing. That's the bleeder screw right there for the brake caliper. You should be able to put a wrench on that and open that up, take that rubber plug off, like so, and then pump the brakes and squirt fluid out through there so you get all the air out through the caliper, and then shut that off, and that's how you bleed a caliper out. Well, as you can tell, you can't get a wrench on there anymore. And if you try and put vice grips on there and turn that, you're just going to snap it off. The other side is the same story. So if it came to the point of having to bleed this caliper, it ain't happening. That means a whole brand new caliper. This battery acid that the DOT especially puts on our roads now is the cause of this. You know, we used to have salt sand mix and then salt, and I don't know what they're using the last few years, but it'll tear up a vehicle pretty quick. And that's the cause of, like that bleeder screw, that's the cause of frames rusting out. So I don't know if they're in cahoots with auto parts stores and garages or what, but yeah, trying to get vehicles to last much more than 12 years around here, 10, 12 years before you have to start doing some major work on them. It's pretty difficult. Tire pressure, that's important. Helps on the gas mileage, plus handling of the vehicle. This one's a little low. I run it at 40. This has the gauge all built right in. It's pretty nice. Almost there. This is a lot easier now to keep taking it off and putting on a manual gauge and switching around. Alright, that was only down by about 8 pounds, but now we're good to go on that one. Don't forget, when you do your 4 tires, probably you have a spare somewhere. Yeah, what I've just accomplished, yes, I've cheated severely. I have a shop with a lift and air tools and so on and so forth. You can do all this by hand outside on a level hard surface. You can do it in the driveway. Been there, done that. You know, you don't need a shop and a lift to check your oil. Depending on what you got for a vehicle, you don't need it to change your oil if you can get underneath the thing. You know, so on and so forth. But that's, your mileage may vary depending on your vehicle. Tire rotation, you can do it with jacks, 4 jacks. You could do it with jack stands. Be safe, make sure it's not going to fall on you, but you can do it. You can do it without impact. These days you can get battery operated impact. Them things are pretty damn impressive, I'll tell you. Get the right one. Don't get a little guy like this and think that this is going to pull your lug nuts. No, that's not what this is made for. You can get bigger ones that are battery operated that will do what that air one does. I've seen them. I don't own one, but I've seen them in action. The local tire shop, that's what they use. They have air also, but they have the battery operated. Them things have got some nuts, I'll tell you. You can do that. You can also do it by hand. You're not going to do it with a little Walmart special 3/8 drive, you know, $5, $15 socket set. No, you need to have 1/2 inch. You're going to need to have a breaker bar. You might need to put a pipe on the breaker bar to break the things loose. But it can be done by hand. It's going to be slower, more of an aggravation, more of a pain, but you can do it. I'm just thankful I don't have to do it that way anymore. So this truck is up and ready. Oil's changed, fluids are good, check stuff over. I know about the front brakes. I know they've been getting there for a while. Next time around, I'm going to have them right here and ready to go. Catch you on the flip side.